Hello and welcome back to another episode of How to Be Happy, and it's quite a special episode. If you're watching video for this episode, which yes, we have video now, very fancy, you may notice a bit of a different layout than usual. We're actually live in my home living room with our producer Josh behind the cameras, all set up to go, and I'm joined by a very, very special guest. We've been wanting to do this one all year. It's one that we've been talking about for a while and we finally got organised. I am joined by our head of personal happiness coaching at BU Happiness College. You may know her already as the amazing Ami Rankin, who has her own podcast, tells incredible stories and gives great insights into happiness and well-being and parenthood and what it means to live a fulfilling life amongst all the demands of life over on her show. Well, we've brought her across onto the How to Be Happy show to have a bit of an end-of-year wrap-up, a bit of an end-of-year conversation to go, what did happiness look like for us this year as happiness experts and happiness coaches? You know, it's not always up. There are ups and downs in life. We're human beings first and then happiness coaches second. So we're going to talk about that. We've also had some incredible questions come in from our listeners on a range of different social platforms. So thank you to the people who sent in questions. We're going to answer those. And we're going to tell you about what's coming up in the next year. There's a lot of things to look forward to that I know I'm really excited about in 2026 that I can't wait to share with you. I'm kind of eager to jump ahead. But before we get to that, please join me in welcoming Ami to the show. Ami, thank you for being here.
Hello, thank you. It's so good to be here.
Before this became How to Be Happy as a show, we used to run it as another podcast, BU with Declan Edwards, and I think I had you on the show, I'm going to say 5 years ago or more now. It's been a long time. And today it was one of our most listened to episodes. I think there's a lot that people get from us just sitting down together, having conversations. We've obviously worked together now for 7 years, I want to say, maybe even more. It's just nice to have these moments where you just sit down and go, hey, how are you going? What's happiness look like? So I'm glad you're here.
Yes,
how has your year been in terms of happiness?
Up and down, definitely, like you were just mentioning. I think what I've realised is that I need to prioritise myself, which is not a surprise to anybody. I feel like we tell all of our clients this, but it's like sometimes I need to practice what I preach as well. And I find that to be difficult a lot of the time, having two young kids. You know, a lot of my priorities and my life is based around them and their structure and routine. But I noticed and realized that that also meant my structure and routine was kind of going out the window as well. So yeah, I would say the last 3 months, I have really gotten back into a good routine of trying to make a point of really prioritizing myself in the midst of everything else as well. And I have found that by doing that, I'm so much more present with work. I'm so much more like, I'm so excited to go and pick them up from like daycare and stuff like that and spend time with them, because I feel like with that structure and routine and being more present with work and stuff, I feel like I have less pressure to like do all of the things then when I am with them as well. So yeah, that's been really nice. But yeah, like I said, ups and downs.
Yeah. Can you talk me through, just out of my own curiosity, what tangible steps or practices that looks like when you said like about 3 months ago started to go, you know what, I've been under prioritizing myself, you know, probably neglecting my own self-care a bit, really want to make sure I'm changing that, not only for my own benefit, but by the sound of it, for benefit of clients at work, for benefit of, you know, your children. What does that then look like over the last 3 months? Like what has been working well for you?
So accountability is the number one thing, which I mean, obviously we call our one-on-one sessions accountability sessions so we can keep our clients accountable. But the Pilates studio that I go to ran like a winter wellness challenge rather than challenging everybody. And it was more like, oh, well, if I make it to this many classes in 8 weeks, I get like a pair of Pilates socks or a t-shirt, stuff like that. And so I think because they kind of gamified it a little bit, I was like, oh, I want the socks, I want the t-shirt, I want all of this. And because then we were all saying like, yeah, I'm going to be at this class or I'll see you tomorrow, it was that a group accountability together. And after like 2 weeks, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And it just brought about this routine that I didn't even really realize that I had missed. And moving my body in between, I guess it's kind of like what we call bookending, where I did like the morning routine with the kids, which is quite overwhelming and very loud, and then do their daycare drop off, and then on my way home stop for a Pilates class and then get into work. And it was like having that break in between those two things meant that when I get home I'm so present and I'm just ready to go. So I just found that I need to do things for myself that help me to re-regulate my nervous system and bring me back down. Because the kids and the stage that they're at the moment in being quite loud and fighting a lot overstimulates me as well. And I noticed and realised that that's when I get quite irritable and snappy. And so it was more about recognising that in myself and then thinking about things that I could put into place to reduce that from happening.
And it sounds like that, other than the accountability and the structure, gave you a bit of a transition space to change what role you were in, which is a big conversation I've been having this year with my wife, with Chev. We actually had it recently. We were away for her birthday. And we're just checking in going, hey, how are we doing? We're 5 months into being parents now. Like this year I became a dad. And we're going, how are we feeling over the last 5 months? Like, what are we doing now? And a big thing that Chev brought up, she goes, hey, I noticed a difference in you. In September this year, myself and some friends, speaking of the accountability part, did September. So like every day we had to do 10,000 steps. And let me tell you, there were some days where it got to 10 o'clock at night.
10,000 is hard.
100%. Like there were days when I got to 10 o'clock at night and I went and laid in bed and went, okay, we're through the day. Awesome. Let's settle in. And I went, I haven't done my 10,000 steps. The guys are going to absolutely pay me out if I'm the first person to miss a day. Yeah. And they're in the group chat saying, hey, we've just finished our steps, and we send a screenshot through. And I look and I'm at like 4,000. And I'm like, okay, I think I did over the course of September a marathon in this living room that we're in at the moment, because I was just walking in circles or on the walking pad, or there were some times where I was going for like a 10:30 stroll through my neighborhood and people probably found that really disconcerting. But the point of it is, like, when I was doing that, a fun little side benefit, other than the accountability, the extra movement, was whenever I finished work for the day, finished client sessions, I'd go to a half-hour walk. I'd just do a couple of laps of the block. And Chev brought up with me only this week, she goes, hey, I noticed that you were way more present at home with us when you were doing that in September. And I think it was because I had that space to kind of, it's hard when we work from home. I don't know if you feel the same. For me, like, I'm in work mode. As soon as I step out of the office, I'm suddenly in dad mode, husband mode, somehow looking after myself mode, somehow looking after a household mode. And there's all these other hats. And I haven't really had a space to let go fully of the coach hat or the work hat. And so now I'm just juggling all of it. And when I have this little space to go for a walk, they call it third spacing in the research, but I went, oh, I feel so much more present when I just have that little 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to go, okay, we're going to close the laptop, we're going to actually properly switch off mentally from work, not carry it home with us. And then when I step back through that front door, okay, now I'm fully in dad mode. Now I'm fully in husband mode. Now I'm fully able to be present with those that I care about. And they're not just getting what's left over from me after all the coaching sessions. Right? I can give people the best of me because I'm actually refilling. That's made a hell of a difference this year for me.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And something I want to be more mindful of for myself. Like, obviously, it's been a big year this year, right? Like, for me, like, becoming a dad's been wild. I am very, very open with people. We were at a Thanksgiving event with friends yesterday, and a lot of them have kids, and they're like, hey, pulled me aside and went, how are you actually doing? And I think a lot of people go like, he studies happiness for a living. Like, he teaches happiness for a living. He must have it all together. And it was really nice to have some friends go like, seriously, like, how are you doing? And I said, look, to be honest, I didn't love parenting for the first 3 months. I think I went in having been told these stories and maybe having false expectations of this rush of love and connection I was going to get, where I'm like, oh my God, this is the happiest I've ever been. This is the best I've ever felt. And it was nearly the exact opposite of that. Like, Chev and I had a good 3 months there, especially Chev recovering from what was quite a traumatic birth, me supporting her through that, still trying to manage work, still, trying to look after myself through all of that. It was challenging the gap between my expectations of what it was going to be like and the reality, where I went, not only do I not think this is the best thing I've ever done, I actually think I'm remarkably less happy from this. And it reminded me, I know we had a conversation a long time ago. You've obviously got 2 kids, and we had a conversation about one of my favourite researchers, Daniel Gilbert, who does this great talk, What Your Mother Told You Will Make You Happy Might Not. And he talks about all the things that society says will bring happiness. And one of them, he goes, do kids make you happier? And if you look at it from a sense of pleasure or excitement or joy or spontaneity, no. They actually make you remarkably less happier. And I was like, that's what I'm feeling. The spontaneity, the joy, the lightheartedness, the playfulness in mine and Chev's relationship and in our life, basically immediately gone, right, in that first 3-4 months of trenches. And it hadn't had enough time yet for if you look at happiness through the lens of like meaning, purpose, contribution, connection, there hadn't been enough time for that to build. So it was like I had this sudden big drop of happiness, no time for this new type of happiness to take in yet. And I'm going, this is miserable. And thankfully I was able to have some counselling sessions with a support that specialised in anxiety and depression in new parents. I was able to talk them through it all. And now we're 5 months in and I'm starting to go, oh, okay, that eudaimonic happiness, that connection, that contentment, that's starting to come in. I'm feeling that more. Yeah. We're being a bit more intentional about planning things and booking things in that give us joy and pleasure, whilst knowing that's probably never going to be, at least not for the foreseeable future, as easily accessible as it was before we were parents. Yeah. I think it's just, it's radical how much it's changed my approach to happiness. Even after studying happiness for 10 years, it's made me go, my entire strategy for living a happy life has had to shift. Is that like similar to your experience with parenting?
Yeah, totally. And again, similar with myself, I've been very open about the fact that I struggled with postnatal depression with both of my kids. Ollie probably more so for a good 9 months because he had colic really terribly. And I've openly said those first 9 months were literal hell on earth. Like we had a conversation with our next door neighbours who had 3 kids and we said, why? Why do you have 3 children?
I'm having that conversation now with people who have 2, by the way. I'm like, one and done. One is great.
But it did make me realise, obviously, every child is different. Everyone's experience in parenthood is different. But it also reminded me that, you know, like you said as well, we are all going to have ups and downs. It doesn't matter what we do for work, whether we talk about this all day, every day. And I think it's easy for us to speak with our clients and give our clients all the tips and tools and techniques because we're not emotionally invested in their life and their relationships, you know, like we're helping them through their ups and downs. But when it's our lives, it's our emotions, it's our relationships, it's our own ups and downs that we're feeling and trying to navigate our emotions. But I also think something really important is that people, and especially men, hear you speaking about your experience because I know that my husband was exactly the same. And I think that the connection piece in fatherhood is so different because a lot of the time, unless you're a single dad and the mum isn't around, that like the mother of the child has 9 months to connect while they're carrying the baby. But then also for those first few months, like not that the dad's like redundant because you can help, but you know, the breastfeeding or the bottle feeding and all of the things a lot of the time does fall on the mum. And it's like forced connection, I guess, so to speak. And that's not necessarily the case for dads. And I think that that can be really confronting and really confusing.
Yeah, no, it was. And thankfully, as I said, like starting to find a bit of a rhythm and routine now, but it has made me reflect, like this last 5 months in particular, it has made me take stock of, much like for yourself, how am I filling my cup back up? I think, you know, pre-becoming a parent, I was in a space where I was like, okay, yes, I'm, you know, largely responsible for a caseload of clients that I still work with one-on-one. I'm responsible for the company and what we're doing with building BU Happiness College as a social enterprise. And I'm responsible for my marriage and making sure that I'm pouring into that. And you know, I'm responsible for the dogs that we have. Like there was all these, if I thought about what are the cups that I'm pouring out into, you know, there was a lot, but it was manageable. I was able to go like, yeah, I'm filling up, I'm practicing self-care, I'm setting boundaries, all the stuff that we teach at the college, I'm doing that. And then add in a baby, understandably, not very good at filling their own cup. Pretty hopeless at looking after themselves, right? Some would say for 18 to 25 years, right? Like maybe more. And so I'm like, whoa, this is a big cup that's needing pouring. And then at the same time being there to support Chev through, you know, it was 7 or 8 weeks before she could walk to the letterbox. It was close to 10 weeks before she could pick him up. And in the midst of doing all this, my marriage cup has gotten larger in its demands, naturally so. I'm trying to really hold things together for Chev, trying to process things myself. And then, of course, this is the beautiful time where our website gets hacked twice. And so I'm on paternity leave managing all this, and I find out that the campus where our members log into, where they get our resources, our tools and our guidance and support for managing their own well-being and improving their happiness, is now sending people to a website selling iPhones in Spanish. I look back and laugh now, but I'll tell you what, at the time, there was not laughter. I was
that one extra thing that you needed on your
furious with the timing of it. And so obviously we go through the whole process. You were amazing. You stepped up to really take the lead for rebuilding because we lost a lot of resources. We rebuild, we spend a few weeks doing that, and then we have the second hack happen a few weeks later. And I'm sitting there just going, that was the lowest I'd felt in a long time. Yeah. I was like, this is tough. What am I doing this for? Like, why don't I just go get a corporate job? And like, this isn't my problem. Yeah. And then what kept me going was I think the team being able to lean on you, Josh, Chev, like people who are still able to sort of help support this. But the sessions that I was having with my clients, to see the impact that we're having, I was like, and actually there was one client in particular, I won't mention the by name for privacy, but I think she might have picked up on how I was feeling, because she goes, hey, just so you know, if you ever don't run BU and you do something else, like I will find you and I will make sure you still coach me. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, you know, like and she was really beautiful. She said, like, you're meant to do this work. Like, this is the work you're meant to do. And I think I needed to hear that at the time. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the saying, you know, challenge without meaning feels like suffering. Challenge with meaning feels like growth. And at that point in this year for me, so much challenge, so much demand, I'd lost sight of meaning. Yeah. And so it just felt like suffering. It felt like shit. Yeah. And to have the support of yourself, to have this member in particular go, like, you're meant to do this work, this matters. And then to have a few wins start trickling in. Yeah. You know, signing a book deal after negotiating one for years was a huge win. To have these wins come through and go, there's something worth doing here. Was able to give me that sense of, okay, no matter how tough this is, if I can connect to meaning and purpose in it, I'm going to be better equipped to continue.
Yes, yeah. And I think that filling our cup, whether it is with regards to career and work and having those wins, or whether it's regards to setting yourself a personal goal, even if it's small, to give yourself that sense of meaning and purpose for your days in general, whatever it is, makes such a huge difference.
Without a doubt. No, I'm glad that, and I think, again, this is kind of looped back to what you were talking about earlier with what's made a difference for you this year. I think it's the same for me. It's the same that we teach all of our members, right? It's the same that I hope people listening to this conversation take away. If you can have some tools that work really well for you, we get reminded of them a lot because of what we do, but if you can have tools that are front and center, if you can have a good community of people around you, and if you can have someone, be it a coach, professional, counselor, therapist, whatever it may be, who can kind of point out your blind spots, keep you accountable, back to that accountability push you spoke about. If you do those three things, infinitely more likely to get through the tough times of life, but also equally more likely to really enjoy and marinate in and savor the good moments, because there've been plenty of good moments this year, and I think it would be easy for me to lose sight of them had I not had access to great tools, great community, and a great sense of accountability within that.
Just on that, I'm going to jump in. This is the first producer cam of the episode.
Hey!
From one of our questions, we do have someone asking if you can give us your top 5 strategies and tools for or how to develop them. So we speak a lot about tools and those things on this show. For those people that maybe don't know what some of those are or haven't listened to past episodes, what would your collective top 5 tools be? Just to put you guys on the spot.
I know my number one. Yeah. Because this made a huge difference to me. I think 5 years ago I was introduced to the feelings wheel. And it was just a random, I was having a conversation with Jordan, who used to be with us, and he was asking, I was having a bit of a tough day, and he's like, well, how are you feeling? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, I feel frustrated, but I don't really know. And he's like, well, get out the feelings wheel. I was like, what is that? I've never used that before. Got it up, and I was like, this is amazing, because it just gives a word or a label to how I'm feeling. If it's not just the general, oh, I'm sad or I'm angry or I'm, disappointed, whatever, and helps me to go deeper. But then it also helps me reconnect back to my why of okay, well, now that I can identify that feeling, why am I feeling that? Because a lot of the time mine might be I'm feeling resentful or I'm feeling frustrated or, whatever the overarching feeling is. But when I then ask myself why, it brings that responsibility back to me, and I realize, oh, maybe I haven't been speaking up about something I'm feeling frustrated with Aaron with, or, maybe I haven't been setting my boundaries and I have been pushing my boundaries, or I haven't been prioritizing myself, but that's on me. That's got nothing to do with anybody else. So I would say feelings wheel, because it's so easily accessible, but because it's just made a huge difference in my life and my communication in how I feel as well.
And I mean, off the back of it, it helps with not only emotional awareness, but self-awareness, right? Like that ability to look inwards and introspect. Funnily enough, I was going to go down a similar route. Like my big tool that came to mind was anything that reconnects me back to myself. Because as soon as I feel disconnected from myself, everything gets worse happiness-wise. Yeah. And I explain to people as like, if you want to be self-confident, self-assured, self-trusting, have high self-care, self-compassion, they all start with self. Yeah. So the second I'm not spending time with me, that's a problem. What that's looked like this year, in light of that like third spacing I mentioned of like taking the walk around the block, vocal journaling has been really good for me. So rather than sitting down and doing written journaling, pulling out, there's an app called Otter that I use, it's free, and I just talk about what's been on my mind. I tried doing it with AI for a bit, but I actually found with AI, I'd kind of end up going down the rabbit hole because it would then respond to me and ask questions. I liked with Otter, I could just get it out, and then I decided whether or not I wanted to revisit it. I might just go, okay, this is everything that's on my mind, this is what's happening, this is how I'm feeling, done. Okay, now it's somewhere I can go back to it, if I want to, right? Just having a space to get my thoughts and feelings outside of here and here, like outside of my head and heart, was so helpful for getting breathing room from them. So I definitely add that if I was to do a top 5. Totally. If I was to add another one in, be cheeky and throw 2 in before you throw another one in, I think exercise has been really important for me this year.
No, that's what I was.
Okay, well that's cool. Okay, well let's do it. Yeah, no, I think I've really, and this is funny because my background before studying positive psychology, before studying happiness was, you know, I did a diploma of fitness and I ran a personal training business and I did 3 or 4 years of a nutrition and dietetics degree. So for a long time, I think I've known on some level that we can't separate our physical health and our mental health. Boy, have I felt it this year. Like to go, oh, I think more clearly. I tend to think a little bit more happily if I have moved my body in some way. What has been the game with that for me this year is learning to let go of high expectations or perfectionism on what it looks like. So rather than going, hey, I need to do this particular workout, it's, am I moving my body every day in some way that I enjoy? Sometimes that's going to be stretching. Sometimes it's going to be weights. Sometimes it's going to be basketball. But am I moving my body?
That's something that I have spoken with a lot of my clients about because myself included have had injuries this year, broke my toe, was in the middle of training for a run, like just, so that was a really big aha moment of like, oh, actually I was setting an expectation on myself. I had this date in mind, this time in mind, this length of run in mind, and that all went out the window in literally 5 seconds when I fell over. But so having this similar conversation with my clients as well along the lines of, okay, yes, the overarching, like your overarching goal or idea is I want to do my 3 gym classes every week or whatever. But at the end of the day, what is underneath that? Because what I'm hearing or what I found for myself was it's movement for me. And so rather than I'm doing this run on this date, it's okay, but can I still move my body? And what would that look like for me today?
Yeah. Which is just such a more self-compassionate way to approach it rather than that high expectations. I'm going to throw one more and then throw one to you so we get a collective 5 and then maybe we'll do some rapid fire questions from the audience. But I think something that I've noticed a long time with myself, it's been a long-term thing for me, coming back to that idea of like clarity of connection to self, clarity for vision for me. So my highest character strength is hope, which means I'm really good at seeing a positive vision of the future. If that is not being utilized, if I'm not doing goal setting, if I'm not setting a clear vision for the future, if I'm disconnected for what are the next steps here, the amount of stagnancy that I feel in my life is why it kicks in very quickly to me. So the trade-off of being like, you know, having this high strength of hope is when I don't feel it, my mental health plummets. So for me, that looks like I will sit down and go, okay, what are the goals for the next 3 months? What are the goals for the next year? Not just professionally, but personally. And through becoming a dad, you know, through those trenches of those first 5 months, it might have been, what is the goal for today? Like just for this next 24 hours, if I can do one thing good, what is the one thing that I might do? And just having that sense of progress has made a hell of a difference to my happiness.
I have 2.
Tell me,
extra.
do it.
Is that too many?
Do it. 6. Let's go 6. Let's be generous.
Kind of off the back of what you were just saying though, with what can I do today or what am I focusing on today? So as I was saying before, routine is really important to me, routine and structure. So structuring my week, I'll sit down on a Sunday and I write out all of my clients and appointments and all of that stuff. But then I actually will schedule in or write in, okay, what are my important things on my to-do list though for this week? Is there doctor's appointments, dentists, like what are the things that I could potentially forget about? And then as we talk about with a lot of our clients as well, what are your top 3 non-negotiables for each day? That like, if you could just do those 3 things, because that reduces overwhelm for me.
Yep.
So that was going to be my takeaway from that. But the last one for me has really been communication and clear communication in a way that, so Aaron and I have seen a couples therapist for like nearly 2 years now, which has been amazing, and we love her so much. She's the best. But something that she's taught us, which we still have to practice every session with her, is I statements. Because it's so easy to be like, you did this or don't do this or whatever, especially like, I don't know, it's just like once the kids came into the mix, the resentment can boil over so quickly, and like the kind of score taking of like, well, I do this and I did this and this today, what have you done? Where obviously the other person in the relationship is feeling the same because they're still doing things in their day as well. Yeah. And so that's been a really big takeaway for both of us, I think, to be able to stop and recognize when a feeling is coming up, but then communicate that in a way that is like, hey, I'm feeling this. Because I still have to practice that regularly.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing here for those listening along to this conversation, this episode. I hope that if any of those tools resonate with them, I hope that take it, use it, but also a lot of them are quite simple. It's just being reminded to practice them regularly. Like, you don't need to make happiness overcomplicated. You just need to find some tools that work for you and utilize them, whilst knowing that the tools that you need will change based on the season of your life. Yeah. I need different tools now than I needed a year ago, and that's why I'm always learning this. So I hope people go, I don't think anyone, including us, has the one-size-fits-all answer to a happy life for 8 billion people. So it's like, take the tools that work for you, ditch the ones that don't, and build your own happiness toolkit. That's the goal. Yeah. Do you have some rapid-fire questions from the audience? Producer Josh, so that we can do a little...
Let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
So we have... Gabrielle has asked a pretty good one, and we spoke a little bit about this at the top of the episode about perspective and things like that. When things get difficult and we feel stuck or unhappy in that place, what's one question you guys wish that people could or would ask themselves to kind of get perspective and take that step back? Because you've spoken a lot about being in that spot where you could see or feel what it is. A lot of people don't get to that stage, and that's where the kind of drain starts to circle. How do you take that step back and gain that perspective?
I've got 2 that come to mind for me. First is, what could I learn from this? I know that from a work perspective, I might get feedback from you on like a workshop that I've run or like a public speaking that I do, because that's not my favourite thing, but I'm trying to learn to love it. But trying to look at things as, rather than criticism, it's constructive feedback. So what could I learn from this? But second one is, what's the fly on the wall perspective? That really helps me, because then it takes me out of me and just is like, what is this fly on the wall seeing? So I would say if there was one question, that really helps me to kind of look at it more like as a whole.
I've done that technique with clients recently, and we've started calling it, I smiled when you said it, because I've started calling it the all-knowing fly. Like, imagine there's like this ultra-wise, all-knowing fly who's followed you through your entire life. They see everything. What would the all-knowing fly tell you right now? And it's so often that people then go, well, actually, the all-knowing fly would say this. I'm like, that sounds like some bloody good advice. Maybe you should take it.
Or if it's like, if your life is a reality TV show, what is the audience then talking about? Like, like your girlfriends are getting together after watching an episode of your reality TV show. What are they saying?
Gets us out of our own way. Very similar for me. I'm a huge fan of the question being, if I was to be disgustingly optimistic about this, how might this be happening in my favour? And that can be really hard. Like, when, especially some of the times I've talked about in this episode, in this conversation, the tough times of this year, to be able to be like, okay, if I was to be like disgustingly or like obnoxiously optimistic about this, how might this be playing out in my benefit? Not how is it? Because if I'm for my brain, I'm like, okay, tell me the good news. My brain's like, nothing is good, Declan. It's all horrible. But if I'm like, how might it? Like, theoretically, go on, throw me an idea. And if I can just get a little glimpse, a little shrivel silver lining, then I can use that. So hopefully those questions help people.
Lovely. If you guys are wondering how people have submitted questions to the podcast as well, make sure you're following everybody on social medias. You will see everything pop up if you're watching this, and we'll pop links in the episode description as well, because being a part of the community and hearing your questions answered is the way to go. How do we make peace with seasons where happiness feels slow to return? You can't be happy all the time, essentially. So how do you be okay with not being at the top of your game all the time?
Yeah. If I might jump in on this one challenge there. I actually think it's a really common myth that you can't experience happiness all the time.
Okay.
I agree that we can't have happiness as our main, like if I was to think of like a dish of life, happiness might not be the main course at all times. But I think it's always there as a side dish. It might just change form. So we mentioned earlier, like, if you think of happiness as joy and spontaneity, and hedonic happiness plummets in parenthood. But eudaimonic happiness or contentment goes up over time. If you look at the feelings wheel, which you mentioned earlier, there's 15, 20, 30 types of happiness just on that resource. Yeah. Everything from, joy, excitement, pleasure, playfulness, through to like contribution, connection, contentment, peacefulness, relaxation. These are all pleasurable forms of feelings that would sit under the banner of happiness. Yeah. And I think we often only think of happiness as joy. Yes. Or accomplishment. Yeah. And understandably, there will be seasons and chapters where you will not experience, like I'm never going to go up to someone who is going through grief, who's lost a loved one, and say, find joy and accomplishment right now. There's no fucking way, right? But if I said, hey, in this moment of grief, can you tell me about a memory that's really meaningful to you with this person? Can you tell me about a time you felt really connected to this person? Can you tell me about something you feel really grateful to have experienced with this person? Well, now we have the main dish is grief, but the side course are all these forms of happiness. And so that's been the ongoing challenge of my life, is like, I have kind of become obsessed with finding moments of happiness and going, it's not always going to show up the same. It's not going to always show up in the same intensity, but it is there. I firmly believe happiness is always there and accessible if we can learn how to recognize it and then cultivate it and like strengthen it. And I hope that's what I've kind of dedicated my life to, is helping people do that.
Perspective, right? Like that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
We use journaling as a really big way throughout the college course and everything like that of people to reflect on themselves. Do you guys have some journaling prompts that you guys fall back on, or you find yourself consistently using?
I feel like you have some...
Mine will be, depending on what's happening for the client or myself, I'll change them up a little bit. But I would say, even not specifically writing it down and journaling, but 2 questions that you can come back to every single day. How do I want to feel today? And what could I do today to move towards that feeling? Yep. Because I think, like, I know for me, myself, if I've had a bad day or I'm feeling really overwhelmed or really overstimulated with something the previous day, the chances of that leaking into the following day is so high, and just waking up being like, oh, here we go again, especially if I'm like getting woken up by one of the kids and it's super early and I'm not feeling like getting out of bed again, all that stuff. That's so easy for then that to continue on through my day unless I'm present and intentional with actually checking in with myself. So, and I think that, like we were saying before, with having things being easy and simple and accessible is like, you don't have to write that down if you don't want to. You could even just do that check-in in your head while you're brushing your teeth. But if you want to go deeper, you also can. Yeah,
because it gives that space of getting out of your head. Very similar to you, I think, depending on the situation, I'll have a whole heap of different prompts. My overarching general ones are, what's my head trying to tell me, which is more like my survival brain, my logic brain. What's my heart trying to tell me lately, which is more like my values and my emotional needs. And then what's my gut instinct trying to tell me lately. And sometimes the things that come through from that will be similar, sometimes they'll be different, sometimes it'll be good things, sometimes it'll be challenges, but to just hold space to check in with the different parts of myself. I think a lot of the time whenever someone feels conflicted within themselves, same for me, it's different parts of themselves wrestling. So my head's saying one thing, my heart's saying another, my gut instinct doesn't bloody know what's going on, right? And so to have a little moment to sit down and go, hey, I just want to hear these out. Not to hear who's right, not to solve anything, just like hear myself, which again is part of that self-connection.
Pretty cool. And if you're listening to this or watching this and you just heard that and went, oh my God, check out the college because these guys talk like this all the time. And it's really cool to be the fly on the wall and hear.
Oh, you are the fly on the wall at the moment.
I've literally been doing
It might be
this all
too
year.
big of a compliment to say the all-knowing fly, but we will say the fly on the wall.
I've had the joy of being the fly on the wall all year, and it's kind of cool to sit here and like hear these guys vibe. And we do have a plan in place for that come next year, so there will be more of this. Don't worry, and we'll talk about that in a second. But to go big picture, someone's asked, what's being a social enterprise or doing the work that we're doing? What does that mean to you guys in the seats that you're in?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this because we've actually got in place a plan early 2026 to be officially accredited and recognised by an external governing body as a social enterprise, which I haven't told you guys yet, so surprise. You guys are finding out at the same time as recording this. I came across the idea of a social enterprise, I think only 1 or 2 years into starting BU. BU Happiness College was started, to be honest, from a place of blind optimism, hope and naivety. Thankfully, those are some pretty good strengths of mine, where I went, how good would the world be if there was a space that existed to teach people how to become happier humans and how to be better human beings, not just a space to teach people how to get good jobs. I think our education system has been built on how do we help people become good employees, not how do we help people become good humans. And that needs to change for a range of reasons. The big one now is I think, we're moving out of an era of knowledge of the head and into knowledge of the heart, which is you go back 100, 200 years, the majority of the population was employed in work of the hand, which is farming, agriculture, manufacturing. Then we move into the last 100 years since the Industrial Revolution, we go into knowledge of the head, which is specialty knowledge, like lawyers, service people, doctors, like things really well. And then AI has come along and is disrupting those industries very quickly. And what I hope will happen is it ushers in an era where the majority of the workforce is going to be employed in work of the heart, deeply human work, right? Social work, education, things that are deeply human-centered. And I think we don't have the skills to do that well yet. Even simple things like we spoke about the feelings wheel, the ability to understand your emotions and name them. The gold standard is, as adults, we should all be able to recognize, name, and healthily work through 30 distinct emotions. The average in Australia is 7 to 8. Like we fundamentally...
That is a stretch for some people.
Right, we fundamentally have not helped people learn the skills of happiness. And we don't need to make it up because we've been researching it for decades now as a really rigorous form of study. So I came across this and made my life measurably better. And I remember saying to Chev at the time, my fiance at the time, now my wife, I think I want to quit my job and start a happiness college. And within 1 or 2 years, by the first supporters and mentors we had, one of the first incubators we went through to grow this idea said, hey, you should become a social enterprise. I went, what's that? He said, it's a business that exists to serve the good of the society, the environment, the world as a whole. It serves a social purpose. It's not just there to make money. Making money is the byproduct of doing something genuinely good in the world. And I went, the world would be a better place if all businesses were that. Why aren't all businesses that? Like, why do businesses exist that aren't genuinely good for the world and have a net positive good? They're just hoarding capital. And I think we're living through that. We're seeing a widening wealth inequality. We're seeing all these societal issues come from capitalism. And I think we just need more conscious capitalism, right? I think we need to be more intentional about it. So what that looks like for us, everything we do at BU serves a social purpose. Obviously, our overarching one is to grow global happiness and spread a ripple effect of happiness and make the skills and science of happiness even more accessible than ever before. So more people can learn them and utilize them. But then as of 2018, we partnered with an organization called B1G1, which I'm very passionate about. It stands for Buy One, Give One. So everyone who does anything to do with the college, we then contribute to something good happening in the world. The example I tend to give is, and by the way, if you're listening to this and you hear this and you haven't done it, bloody do it now. If you press subscribe on this podcast or if you follow us on any social media platform, we pay for a tree to be planted somewhere. It doesn't cost you anything. We cover the funding of that because I think it's a good thing to do. And to be honest, I would rather the money go towards that than pay Mark Zuckerberg and all these tech billionaires to advertise the podcast for us. So it's more meaningful for me when someone goes, hey, I'm listening to this podcast that I really like. They tell their friends and family and go, oh, by the way, if you go listen to it, they'll plant a tree. Like when people come to the college, we fund education access for children who normally wouldn't get a chance to go to school. Like we've partnered with people before when I've spoken at keynotes. I take a percentage of what I'm paid and we fund medical treatment for children who wouldn't be able to access medical treatment. And I just go, if nothing else, I feel like we're already making the world measurably happier over the last 8 years by doing that. And as I look to the future of BU, I only see that getting bigger and bigger and bigger as our community continues to grow and play their part in making the world happier. Because Unfortunately, I can't make the world happier on my own. I wish I could. It is going to have to be a collective effort. It is going to have to be a ripple effect.
I love that. That kind of summarizes most of the questions here. I want to pitch one to you guys as we move into kind of the review of what this year has been like. Can you guys use one of my favorite tools, which is our 2-word check-ins that we do?
Yeah.
And give me a 2-word check-in on how you think 2025 has gone for BU as a whole. So this utilises, for those listening at home while these guys think, this utilises that emotions wheel that they've spoken about.
I'm literally picturing it in my head right now. I've looked at it that many times over 10 years of studying this that I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. I've got my 2, I think. I'm going to go challenging but transformative. It has been a deeply challenging year personally, professionally, in many ways, but you know, knowing what we've got coming up next year, knowing what we've been working on for the last few months, I'm sure we're about to talk about, I think it has made us, I think it's made me a better coach, a better husband, a better parent. I know that learning this stuff continually makes me a better version of myself. I think it's made us a better company. I think as a social movement, we've become better. The suite of offerings that we have coming out for people to learn this stuff is so much better than what we built 5 years ago. And I don't think that would have happened had life not thrown us some big curveballs and challenges. You know, sometimes the enemy of greatness is goodness. You go, oh, this is good enough, so I will just sit on it. And when what we had, I decided was no longer good enough because we had all the issues, I went, this is not a good enough standard. I think it's forced us to become great.
Yeah, my 2 words are growth and excitement. For similar reasons. I feel like I'm maybe more in the present 2025 rather than like, you know, the last 9 months 2025, because I totally agree with the challenge there. But I think because I'm so into the growth part of the business and the company and the learning, like I know we've spoken a lot that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so passionate about this. I'm learning so many cool new things with all of the new content that we're creating. And I'm so excited to be able to share that. Like I've been sharing some of the tools already with some of our current clients because I'm like, oh my gosh, I've learnt this thing today. And it's just so like, it's going to resonate with you so much for where you're at. I want to talk about it in our next session. So I'm so excited to be able to properly release that to our current clients, but to be able to have different offerings for people that aren't our clients or that may have been thinking about joining BU that haven't been able to before because there's so many different options coming up. So yeah, just that I'm really, really excited. Yeah.
You and I both. Can we talk about those options? I'm so energized now.
That's why.
Oh my God.
Growth is the perfect.
You set me up.
I think growth's the perfect word for what. As we look at where we've come from 2025, like, obviously, I think the big growth piece, besides the hacks and the website needing to be rebuilt, the podcast was the launch this year. Was there any other big things that happened in 2025?
Besides the book deal, we've got the book coming out, which is wild. So
like for you guys listening at home, thank you for being a massive part of this year. Like we've done some incredible stuff. You guys have raised our listening and our ripple effect on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening by over 50% on all platforms this year, which is insane. And that's so cool that we're getting those little snippets out. And yeah, do we want to dive into what's happening in 2026?
I want to. I'm chomping at the bit.
I think we've all been kind of sitting on a lot for the last couple of months.
So much. Oh my God. The last few months I call it in the cave, just like, or in the lab. I feel like an inventor in the 1600s who like locked himself in a room, was like, I will figure out the light bulbs. I mean, I mentioned before that everything we do is to serve this purpose of growing global happiness. And something that's bugged me for 8 years of running BU Happiness College now is that the only way people previously had a chance to do that reliably and consistently was to enroll in a personal happiness coaching program with one of us or one of the coaches we had in the past, which is fantastic. I mean, it's the ideal way to learn. Like if you're going to learn a language, get a private tutor. If you're going to learn a musical instrument, work one-on-one with someone. Like it is the best way to learn by far, but it is not always the most accessible financially, time-wise, availability-wise, time zone difference in terms of we now have listeners and community and members and graduates in over 6 countries, and sometimes that's hard to line up. And so it's been bugging me for many years going, how do I genuinely want to make the world happier, but only a fraction of the world's population can ever work with us because we can only work with so many people at a time. Like I'm not working with 100 people a year myself. That would burn me out. Yeah. And so what I'm really excited about coming up next year is a series of short courses. So we're putting out a certificate of happiness studies, a diploma of happiness studies, and an executive diploma of happiness leadership for people to taste test coming to the college, learning these skills and just doing it over a 6 to 12 week period. From that, we're also launching the Happiness Blueprint, our self-study curriculum, which gives people a chance to get access. I call it like Netflix, but better for you. You can log in at a time. You'll have it as an app on your phone. You can, at a point where you're like, oh, I'm feeling a bit off. I want to learn more about like goal setting or boundaries or communication, all these skills that we talk about on the show. I want to go deeper in it. I want to get tools. They're there at your fingertips for 80% less on average than it used to cost to come to the college.
Yeah, this is probably the one I'm I love the short courses, but I think the Blueprint is what I'm most excited about because I know that like financially sometimes people are really stuck and to be able to make this accessible to so many more people, this is why it excites me. Yeah. Because I just think like the impact that working on myself and learning about myself has had on my life. And I have openly said for years and years and years, like, BU is the reason that I literally am where I am today and the reason that I have made so many positive life changes. To be able to share that with people that haven't had access to that previously is so exciting.
And we're still going to be continuing, in interest of democratizing these skills, making them super accessible. There's still going to be so many free ways for people to learn that. Following us on social media, obviously the podcast, we've got multiple shows. If you have enjoyed listening to this conversation, I've got good news for you. Next year, we'll be continuing How to Be Happy. We'll be still doing once a month an episode of How to Be Happy at Work, which is more the professional development scene. But we're also going to be now bringing out once a month The Ripple Effect, which will be a casual conversation between Amy and myself. Talking about our lives as happiness researchers and coaches and experts, talking about the college, talking about what's working well for us, what we're seeing in clients, having more of these casual sit downs. So that's going to continue. YouTube channel, TikTok, book coming out next year.
Your TikTok is going really well, by the way. That series that you've been doing, I love.
Yeah, I've been sharing one happiness tip a day for 100 days, which has been really fun. I've already got an idea for my next 100-day challenge afterwards, but I won't reveal too much yet. But yeah, I think for everything from like free ways for people to learn about the skills and science of happiness through the podcast, social media channels, through to these entry-level options of like books, short courses, through to like something that's still super accessible but a bit more committed and a bit more in-depth, like the Happiness Blueprint self-study curriculum. And of course, there'll still be wait lists and options and rooms. People will go, you know what, I really want to dive into this and take this seriously and go, as full into as possible. I'd love to work one-on-one with either myself or with you. Those are still going to be available. I'm so excited by the ripple effects that we're going to be spreading in 2026. And again, how that doesn't just come from the three of us in this room recording, but from the people listening and from the people who have trusted us since 8 years ago to go, this is something I believe in.
And we're touring.
Oh, shoot. So much time next year.
And we're going away as well.
That's right. We have a happiness retreat happening next year, or a happiness immersion to the Blue Mountains.
There is so much going on in
International
2026
Happiness
that we can't even remember.
We're doing a speaking tour. I forgot. So I'll be coming out, and Amy will be coming out to a bunch of places. We haven't locked in locations or dates yet, but stay tuned to teach these skills live.
I love the tours because we get to meet people in person. And also it's so funny because I'll be like, oh my God, like I listen to you every week, but now you're like right here in front of me, like you're a person, not just a voice.
There's so much going on next year. New website coming out in January. All this new stuff. I think the best way is just make sure you're following us on all platforms. A, because then you won't miss any of this. B, we're planting a tree for everyone, so how dare you not go follow us and you rob that tree from being planted. Go get it done. But also on the new website, as soon as that's out in January, I think that you can even do it now. If you go to the website and go to the happiness headline, that's our email list, you'll be able to pop your details in. We'll be able to send through any updates as we sort of launch these things coming into the new year. I'm sure we'll put some links in the show notes from this episode for wait lists for the book, wait lists for short courses, all that fun stuff. But there's a lot to look forward to.
It's going to be a big year.
It is.
And a lot of that is happening in the first 6 months. So if you guys heard anything that Amy and Dec just said and you are keen on hearing more, most of the details I think are all up on our socials. So just type in BU Happiness College, find it all there. If you can't find it, just shoot us a message. Amy will probably respond to you on that. It's
any questions that we didn't get to in this episode, as I said, we're doing this again. Next year we're doing these monthly casual chats. So please send in your questions. Like, send them through. I know there's some we didn't get time to do today. We will add them into the rotation. Yeah. Send them through to us. Anything about life, happiness, business, well-being, you know, anything that you want to throw at us. Happy to answer.
That wraps us up, guys.
Hey, that wraps up 2025.
Yeah, there. And this was also our last episode for 2025.
Oh, we're going to take a little break. We should mention that.
Yeah.
In interest of prioritizing our own well-being, I am not interested in being a full-time 12-month-a-year podcaster. So we're going to take a little break over December and January, I believe, Josh.
So I think we're back January 20. Let me get the exact date for everyone listening at home so you can mark it in your calendars. January 28th, we will be back on the airwaves, and you're not going to want to miss it because it's going to be a pretty big bang to start the year if everything goes as planned. But make sure if you are listening to this episode and you haven't listened to any others, there is 48 episodes that you can go listen to. Not only that, Amy does have her own podcast, so you can go catch up on Amy's work before she jumps over here and you hear her voice once a month. Any other plugs that we need to do for the end of the year?
I don't think so. Be kind to yourselves. Be a good human. I hope everyone listening to this take one thing from either this conversation or the show and just put it into practice over the New Year period. I think it's a nice way to, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of like New Year's resolutions or whatnot, but I do think there's something nice about starting a new year with intentionality and having a new chapter. So yeah, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and try to play your part in making the world a little bit happier.
Amazing. So for everyone here at BU and How to Be Happy, thanks for joining us in 2025, and we will see you with a brand new season in 2026. Yay. See yous.